Hello everyone, welcome to a short tutorial on Introduction to Software and Software Engineering. And you may be wondering why such a module is being created. Let's look at our life around us. So right now I'm standing in front of you. I have a phone in my pocket, which most of you would be having, and the phone contains software. Then I have a pointer in my hand. The pointer also has software. I'm using a laptop to record this training that has software. I'm capturing it using a camera that has software. So software is all around us today, and it is becoming all pervasive. You take your cars, you take your refrigerator, you take your TV, you take your home automation. Everywhere software is playing a role. And of course, it's good to learn how software can be helpful to us in our daily lives, in our business lives as well. My name is Alan Mishra. I work as a principal trainer at Adaptive US, and let me welcome all of you to this particular training on Introduction to Software. This training is helpful to anyone who is completely new to software and they would like to learn software and kind of build a career in software. So let's first understand why businesses need software. And since we are a business analysis consulting house and training house, our main focus is of course on business software. So let's take a look at from the very beginning, what are businesses? Businesses are activities which are carried out with an intent to make profit. That is what is business. A business would like to make a profit. Of course, to achieve profit, it needs to understand where from the profit comes. So it needs to record transactions such as sales, expenses, customer details, product details, order details, and many such information. Employee details, asset details. So it needs to capture and record a lot of information for managing itself. And in the past, businesses used paper registers. So even if you go to some of the older institutions, you will find these paper registers being used, paper forms, paper registers. But what has happened over a period of time is that the computers have come to our lives. And computers allow data to be recorded electronically. So you can actually capture the data using electronic means. And the good part about computers is that they are extremely good. They are extremely fast in capturing, maintaining, and analyzing data. So in a sense, computers are super smart calculators. You can treat it in that way. There is nothing to be afraid about computers. Computers are simply sophisticated calculators with, of course, a lot of capabilities. And any computer that you take a look has two parts. One we call hardware, which you can touch and feel, like your keyboard, your screen, your mouse is nothing but hardware. And there is something called software in the hardware, or maybe the software is coming from another place called internet, which is making it utilize the hardware that it has. So what is software? Software is nothing but instructions which a computer can understand. So you tell the computer, take a person's date of birth. Say for example, I was born on a particular day in a particular year, and today's date, which it can compute because it knows today's date is say 20th November 2020, then subtract the date of birth from the current date. So once you tell that instruction, it finds the number of days that has passed between my birth and today. And based on that, it can divide it by say 365 and then tell me, okay, Ellen, you are almost 50 years of age. So that's what computers do. So they basically take data, they store data, they process data. Okay. So in a sense, computers have two major parts. One we call data and one we call logic. The logic is telling the computer that, okay, to find the age of a person, take the date of birth and take the current date and subtract date of birth from the current date. And that's how you will find the age of the person. And of course, we create documentation that helps us to use the computer, maintain the program. That's also part of software. So as we can see, the computer has two major parts: software, the data, and usually the terms associated with data is database management system. A database is nothing but a set of information stored in a particular way. So usually in a tabular format. And then you will hear the terms like SQL, Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, lots of variety of database management systems exist, algorithms exist to analyze the data. Then the logic part, we typically call them as algorithms, and you would have heard programming languages such as .NET, Java, which help us to write these algorithms. And mostly this is done by our software developer friends. Then, if you look at software, there are two categories of softwares that you will find. One, we call it a generic software products, which means anybody can use. So for example, all of you must be using Microsoft Windows or some such operating system. Anybody can use. Or you could be using MS Word, MS Excel, MS PowerPoint. So these are products which have been generated or created for generic purpose. But there are lots of software which is also customized, which means you have developed it for a specific customer. So for example, within Adaptive, we have a product called IPM Pro, which is built for us. So using IPM Pro, we manage our registrations, we manage our revenue data, we look at our performance. That's what IPM Pro does for us, and nobody else uses IPM Pro other than we. Then obviously let's understand why software is becoming so important today. And as you can observe, the majority of the development that has happened in the last 30 years, especially in the information technology sector, they mostly pertain to software. And software contributes significant part of any country's GDP today, be it transportation, medical, telecommunication, education. You take any sector, no sector is away from using software for delivering better services to its customers. Then we have another lecture which I will be covering a little later, which is called software engineering. So software engineering is concerned with theories, methods and tools for professional software development. That means you would like to develop software in the right way. Then remember, the major part of software is probably not the hardware that you see. The actual cost of software could be, the cost of software is the development of the software on which we spend money, and then maintaining it over a period of time. And in fact, sometimes the maintenance cost could be 10 to 20 times more than what we spent in developing the software. So when we are trying to develop a software, we have to take a view that we are going to use it for a foreseeable period in time, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, and what would be the total cost of developing and maintaining such a software. Then remember, software is not manufactured. It's not like other things like hardware, which is actually manufactured. Whereas software is engineered and it can be used as many times without incurring any significant additional cost. So in a sense, software never becomes old. Like hardware can become old, but software cannot become old, but it can lose its relevance because the environment changes, and hence the software, if it doesn't change, it starts losing relevance to the current business practices. Then there are many types of software applications that you will hear. One is called system software, such as compilers, editors, management utilities, anything. Then application softwares, which are standalone programs which we use. MS Office is a great example of an application software. Then there are engineering and scientific software, which we use it for engineering purpose or scientific purpose. Then there is a concept called embedded software. Like I'm holding this pointer. This pointer also contains software. That software is called embedded software because it is embedded into the device. Then product line softwares like word processing, graphics, database management. Another type of software which is becoming very popular, we call them as web applications. So internet has allowed you to put software in one server somewhere far away from your office, possibly, and use that software through a connection which we call the internet connection. And that's something becoming very hugely popular because you don't have to necessarily maintain your own software and hardware. There are plenty of companies today which provide software which is hosted and which you can use. Then we have new generation softwares coming in, which is called artificial intelligence, which can be used for many kinds of expert things, robotics, pattern recognition, game playing, and whatnot.